You have on secret weapons.
Oh, geez, I've got a lot of stuff in there. Basically, back in the mid '90s, I was briefed by the CIA and given some documents regarding secret weapons that were, oh, geez, they were just being used then. Some were in development, but since then they've basically made huge advances. And one is laser weapons and various types. There's a small one that they mount on an M16, but what it will do is destroy an enemy's electronic targeting device. It will fry it. There's another one called the Dazzler, which is basically it's powered by batteries. It looks like kind of like a 308 rifle in a sense, but it's designed to also knock out electronics, and that it can do a lot of damage to the human body if they aim it at them and hit them. And that was used in the Gulf War. Some of my sources have told me. They have low energy weapons that oscillate between the colors and that the human eye can detect. And the idea and what they do is they will basically temporarily or permanently blind a person looking at them. And so if you have, just say a sniper, and you see somebody looking your direction, they can use this. It's like a rifle, and they fire it at them. Unless they have some very, very sophisticated optics to protect their eyes, they're going to basically go temporary blind to permanently blind. And then you have.
Wait, but isn't there something in the Geneva Convention you're not allowed to blind the enemy?
Oh, I don't know. There may be, but
okay.
You still have the weapons, right?
Okay.
And then there's ones that have some images in here of a laser equipped on a Stryker vehicle, ship-mounted naval vessels with lasers, and then the Yaw-1 airborne laser, which is on a 747 jet, to go and knock out satellites and planes and missiles, things like that. Some of the things that are very interesting and different is the isotropic radiators. And what that is, think of on the 4th of July. A firework is shot into the sky. When it goes off, you see colors. But imagine if it was so bright when it went off, it would immediately fry your eyes. I mean, not physically, but your vision would be totally destroyed, totally. And I talk about that in there, what they are and what they do. And then you have the non-nuclear electromagnetic pulse devices, high-powered microwaves, which is kind of interesting because recently I heard on the news that they're looking at, remember down in Cuba at the embassy, they just opened that some people were suffering from various illnesses. They couldn't figure out what's going on. They're dizzy and so forth. And now they're coming out and said they believe it was a high-powered microwave aimed at the embassy. And so I talk about that. I talk about infrasound, which is basically low hertz sound waves that can penetrate a building. And you can turn them up like the volume on a TV, and the higher it is, the more damage it will do to the person inside. Generally, it will make them nauseous and sick and just lay them down on the ground because it's just so horrible. They just don't know what's going on. Kind of the real interesting ones is one's called LME, which is liquid metal embrittlement. And what it does, think of this. You have a can of spray, just like a regular little spray can of paint or hairspray. You can spray it on a piece of metal, aluminum, titanium, whatever it is, and it changes the structure of the molecules. And what it does, it makes it extremely brittle. And what this is used for, say special ops, they go in to, just say an airport, and they have fighter planes, transport planes, they would spray it on the landing gear of an aircraft. And you can't see it and you can't smell it, but in a short period of time, it restructures the molecules, and they becomes very brittle like glass. So once you put pressure on that say, front landing gear, it will just snap off and collapse. So, one, it will destroy it, but two, it's for psychological purposes, is that if you have a squadron of people ready to take off, fighters, the first guy down the chute, he starts down the runway, and the wheels collapse and break off. Everybody else is going to go, uh-oh, has my plane been sprayed with it? So that's some interesting stuff. They have another thing, super caustics, which they're called C+, and they're 1,000 times more corrosive than hydrofluoric acid. And what this stuff does, if they put it on the ground and you're walking across it, it will dissolve the soles of your shoes in about 30 seconds. And so same thing, a car drives over it, it dissolves the tire almost instantly. If it gets on human skin, you can imagine what it's going to do. They have anti-traction technology, which is super lubricants, and it's slipperier than ice. And so even if you had, say, a track vehicle going across on the road and it's been treated with this, it won't get any traction. It just will slide right off. They have polymer agents, which are the super of all super glues that it can basically be fired through an artillery shell or a rocket. And if an air-breathing engine, say on a truck or an airplane, ingests this, it sucks it in, it just freezes in there. It just stops the motor from functioning. And they have combustion material, same thing. They can spray it in where it changes the fuel to a gel almost instantly, like in a jet or a truck or something. They have combinative agents, which I talk about, which they use with DMSO, and it promotes quick absorption into the body, and it can either be laced with a poison, which would kill somebody right away, or a combinative agent, which would basically, if you want to say, pretty much put them to sleep, or you can put them to sleep. What I thought was really cool is I was given some information on a demonstration that visual stimulus and illusion devices, and they call it the Buka effect, and what it employs is high-intensity strobes, some of it that is at the same frequency as the human brain, and you see this light, and it makes you nauseous and gives you vertigo. And it's the same effect that some helicopter pilots experience from the rotor blades. If the sun is just right above them, flashing through, they can go into vertigo from it. But they have those. I have a little folding machine gun they have. I talked about the new drones that are out that basically they act in a swarm. They'll launch 100 of them from, say, an F-18, and they will hunt down whatever the object is. These drones are that smart, and they talk to each other. They just fly around, and they'll follow a road, and they go, oh, no, that's a good truck. Oh, wait, if there's the truck we're supposed to kill, or the individual, then they'll just go down there and hit them with explosives. And so that's what I have in the secret weapons, a bunch of stuff like that.
Now, are there any